Hey everyone, welcome to another YouTube painting process video. I'll be going over my piece on Predator Badlands, which is coming out tomorrow. Heard good things about it, and I was a huge fan of the aesthetics in the trailers, so I'm going to pay tribute to it before it even comes out. Why not, right? Anyways, this time around I want to discuss a fairly important topic, but also something I believe most artists probably would have suspected and already incorporate in their research. And it's the idea of improving your standards and not just your art. One of the mistakes that a lot of artists make starting out is that they focus too much on the technical aspects of art. And that's no coincidence, really. It's something that you would naturally gravitate towards whenever you are starting out because, of course, you're still struggling to draw what you want in your mind, so you need to learn the technical aspects, the art fundamentals, in order to be able to have the knowledge to portray what you're imagining. Now, in this channel, I've stated countless times that the technical side of art is actually not as hard as people think it is. It just takes a lot of practice. But while you're grinding the knowledge for technical prowess, what's equally as important is to be able to distinguish what is good art and what is bad art. In other words, you want to improve your tastes and standards. Now, obviously, I completely understand it's a subjective thing. Beauty is to the eyes of the beholder, so there's no judgment on what you like and what you dislike. It's whatever you feel is right for you. The way I like to think about it is, regardless of what your preferences are, you do want to take note of what is the greatest demonstration of that style that you are looking for. So this might seem a little nebulous, so I'll give you examples without naming names, obviously, because I'll probably piss people off. If, let's say, you're really into Western cartooning, there are a myriad of examples of cartooning that you can study from a wide spectrum of budgets and quality. We can obviously go from the tip of the top, greatest of all time movies with the highest budgets in the world, down towards the Saturday morning cartoons made by small studios, and they're just phoning it in just for the sake of the license that they got from the toy company or whatever. From that, you can probably create your own examples in your head, specific names of what I mean. But the reality is, not all art is created equal. You are going to have to constantly sort of make tier lists in your head of what is the greatest demonstrations of the stuff that you like, down to the low budget and the lower tiers of stuff. It can be a trap to think that art is subjective, therefore you shouldn't be judgmental. You should absolutely be aware and be judgmental of what media you're consuming. I get it. It can feel disrespectful to the artists who worked on these projects that may not be the best. But I've since learned to separate the production with the artists and the people working on it. A lot of times, a production can have issues for a myriad of reasons that are beyond because the artists are bad or anything. So you're not really disrespecting them when you are starting to create these tier lists in your mind. Of course, maybe just keep it to yourself when you're researching so that you don't accidentally piss people off when you're making these opinions public. But either way, the point being, and why I like to do this, is because now knowing what is great and what is bad in your style that you prefer, you can study accordingly. For the good art, what are they doing that you're not? What can you take from them that you can incorporate in your own work? For the stuff that is not as good, you can ask yourself what makes it not so good. You can compare it with the stuff that's really good so that you know what might be missing, and that'll give you a more critical eye to how you can improve your work. It is very important for the artist to develop some sort of ego. And I don't mean the ego where you tell yourself, well, it's my style, I'll do what I want. You want an ego in the sense that you need to be able to develop your own opinions. After all, if you think everything is good, then you wouldn't be able to distinguish what is actually going to be helpful for you or not. So regardless of what you're doing, you do need to understand how to distinguish good media from bad media. And I don't mean just looking at Rotten Tomatoes and hearing and seeing what other people are saying. I mean, you need to be able to judge for yourself and create these judgments for yourself. And with that, you will become your own individual because your tastes are unique to you. And when that happens, that's when you start choosing the stuff that you like for your own style and omitting what you don't like, which is, of course, the formula for creating your ultimate art style that works for you. As one final note in this approach, I also implore everyone to research what you may not like as a genre as well. There are a lot of things that you can learn from just consuming and watching what you may not actively like. Now, it may sound contradictory to what I just established, where you want to make tier lists of what you like, but there are a lot of things that you may be missing if you just research stuff that you may not choose to watch in your everyday life. Even if the genre isn't something that you enjoy, you should still be able to recognize that perhaps a certain piece of media is the top tier of that genre and be able to distinguish that from other media of that genre. Again, you want to refine your standards and tastes. So a good practice is just actively consuming the stuff that may be difficult for you at times because it's not your thing and you're not the target audience. A primary example that I can give you is that I still actively research into children's media. Now, it seems kind of weird, especially given that it's not something that I draw, and I'm not remotely the target audience, especially the media meant more for girls. But there is some merit to knowing what they're doing and understanding why it works for them. Perhaps there's certain shape languages that they utilize that you may not be using. Perhaps they're using certain colors that you may not be using. That's not to say you're going to incorporate these aesthetics into your work, but understanding what they're doing is a huge part in developing your technical prowess. In other words, don't live within the echo chamber of your own work. Expand your horizons. Even if you want to put the media in the background while you're working, it's still better than being ignorant of what's out there because it may not be your thing. Now, I know I said not to name any names, but one of the most recent examples is something like K-pop Demon Hunters for me. Despite the fact that I'm not really the target audience, I'm not a K-pop person, and it's a little kiddish for me, I still learned quite a bit just watching and drawing fan art of it, just because it's doing stuff that I may have overlooked in the past that it does really well. After all, if it garnered an audience that big, then perhaps they're doing something that you might want to take the time to research and really look into it, because they're probably doing something that you could incorporate into your style even if it's something tiny. Anyways, thank you for watching. Here's the final piece for my Predator Badlands fan art. As usual, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Any little bit helps me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.